Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack fascinating sources and help you get a handle on complex ideas quickly. Today, we're diving into one of those really, really old stories, one you definitely know, the Garden of Eden. You know, the serpent, the woman, God. But here's the twist. Our mission isn't really about religion in the usual sense. We're looking at it as, well, an exploration of these powerful universal principles, things that actually play out in our daily lives. Yeah, our source for this deep dive, it's a transcript from a YouTube video. It's called The Serpent, the Woman, and God, the story that happens every day inside you. And it views this whole narrative through what it calls the laws of the soul, fate, and the universe. So think less dogma, more understanding a kind of symbolic energy, something that really shapes where we end up.
Exactly. And I think what's really striking is how it reinterprets the serpent. It's not just, pure evil in a snake suit. The source sees it as this fundamental force, actually inseparable from creation. Its purpose isn't just destruction. It's there to test us, really,
Yeah.
to put us to the proof. And in doing that, it reveals what's really going on inside us.
Okay. So less about some external bad guy and more like a catalyst for figuring ourselves out. That does shift things.
Yeah.
How does that change how we should maybe look at the challenges, the sort of negative stuff in our lives now? And where does the source start with explaining this cunning force?
Right. It jumps straight into that description. The serpent is the most cunning of all the beasts. Now, cunning here, it suggests something more than just being clever, It implies access to information, maybe insights that aren't common knowledge, a kind of strategic smarts. This force, it doesn't come at you with like brute strength. Its weapons are way more subtle. Words, doubt, questions.
The questions.
Yes. And the big one from the story is the serpent asking the woman, how is it that God has forbidden you to eat of all the trees in the garden? See the spin.
Yeah, it's not a flat-out denial. It's suggestive, like planting a little seed of, hey, that doesn't seem fair. The source really hits on that, doesn't it? That the issue isn't the apple itself, but the thought, the doubt it sparks.
Precisely. It's the internal shift.
And that thought, that doubt, it leads us right into what the source calls the law of priorities, doesn't it? This isn't just ancient history.
Spot on. This is a core idea in the source.
Yeah.
The law of priorities. It basically says, look, if your number one priority, deep down, is this unconditional love for God or creation or whatever you call that ultimate source, if that comes first, you're in harmony. Everything aligns.
Okay, but what happens when that gets shuffled, when love slips to second place? Maybe it's replaced by wanting knowledge, like in the story, or power, success, even wanting to be good, but without that love underneath.
That's exactly when the problems start, according to this view. The moment love isn't primary, there's a disturbance, a kind of systemic imbalance kicks in. And you see it right there in the Eden story. The woman's love for God, it got temporarily pushed aside by the desire for that forbidden knowledge. It's not presented as her being bad, but as illustrating this universal principle. The fall is just stepping out of that harmonious alignment.
Which makes so much sense in, well, just regular life. I mean, how often do we chase the career thing or get obsessed with health fads or, just scroll endlessly for more info? Guilty as charged on the phone scrolling. And meanwhile, that core love thing, maybe it's not really driving the bus. And then we're surprised when we feel exhausted or things go sideways or crises pop up. The source is clear. This isn't God punishing us. It's just the natural result of messing with that core priority structure, like cause and effect.
Exactly. And that's why the serpent is called cunning. It looks smart. It often even pretends to be good, but it's not rooted in love. Just think about it. How many actions today, maybe even large-scale ones, are done in the name of good, but are really driven by ego or control or fear, not love? Or take technological progress. Some things look amazing, like huge blessings. But if they aren't grounded in love, the source warns they could be soul-destroying. That's the cunning aspect.
Wow, that puts a different lens on things, makes you question the why behind a lot of stuff that looks positive on the surface. So if that's the serpent's game, how does it show up now? It's not whispering in gardens anymore, right? It's more like it's in the ads, it's in media narratives, the internet, ideologies, everywhere.
Pretty much. And the core message, the underlying question, it's remarkably consistent. It's still whispering, did God really say you can't have everything? Do you really need limits? Why not grab that knowledge, that power, that pleasure right now?
That sense of immediate gratification, no consequences.
Right. And here's another crucial piece from the source. The serpent deals in half-truths. It rarely lies outright. It twists what's true. It promised their eyes would be opened if they ate the fruit.
Yeah.
And, well, they were.
But not in the way they expected.
Exactly. They were open to division. Suddenly it was good versus evil, me versus you, this versus that. They lost that sense of unity. So the serpent didn't lie about the eyes open part. It just conveniently left out the cost, the loss of harmony.
Okay, so these half-truths, how do we spot them today? Those ideas that sound good, maybe even empowering, but are missing that core of love or unity. Like you hear things, you've got to put yourself first, or nobody can save you, but you deserve to be happy. They sound reasonable, right? But the source prompts us to ask, where's the love in that? Is it just about me? Is it forgetting we're all connected? Where's the humility?
That's the critical filter.
Right.
Does it lead towards unity and love or towards separation and self-interest, even subtly?
Okay, so shifting gears a bit. The story specifically has the serpent approached the woman. Why her? The source has a specific take on this, right? Based on energy.
It does. It talks about polarity, about different, let's say, spiritual and emotional levels associated traditionally with masculine and feminine energies. The woman, in the symbolic sense, represents the realm of feelings, relationships, the perception of harmony itself. This makes her, according to the source, inherently more sensitive to these subtle vibrations, both the divine ones and the seductive ones.
So she's more receptive. Not weaker, but a more direct channel.
Kind of like a gateway, yeah.
Yeah.
So the serpent targeted that emotional connection, that intuitive link to the divine or to God.
And once that inner trust is shaken, she looks for that lover connection elsewhere, outside herself.
That's the idea. And
Then-
because the man in this framework is
Yeah.
energetically tied to her, when her connection falters, his follows. He falls with her.
So it's not about blaming the woman. She's the first gateway, the initial point where that connection was tested for humanity.
Exactly. It emphasizes that protecting that inner emotional connection to the divine, that feeling of love and trust, is incredibly important for everyone, regardless of gender. It's like a precious treasure, because once that's weakened, our logic, our rational mind, it can easily start making excuses for our choices, and our inner strength just diminishes.
And this inner state, it
Right.
doesn't just stay inner, does it? The source connects it directly to our physical bodies, our health.
Oh, absolutely. This is a powerful part of the analysis. The source puts it bluntly. Desire breaks the energy balance of the body. This imbalance creates tension, blockages, and eventually can manifest as physical illness.
Wow, it gives some really concrete examples too, which I found fascinating. Like someone with a persistent, maybe unconscious desire to control everything that might show up as heart problems or issues with blood pressure. Or for women, issues related to reproduction could reflect a kind of inner pain or difficulty in fully embracing their femininity. It's like the body is speaking a language.
Yes. The source calls the body both a temple and a prophet.
Yeah.
A temple because it holds that divine spark, but also a prophet because it tells us truths about our inner state, truths we often ignore or don't want to hear.
So things like fatigue, pain, sickness, they're not just random breakdowns.
Not according to this view. They're seen as languages of the soul. They're nudging us, sometimes shouting at us to get back to our essence, to fix that broken priority.
So healing isn't about just fighting the symptom, the snake in the body, so to speak.
Right. True healing comes from strengthening that fundamental connection again, the connection with love, with God, with that harmonious state.
Okay, this brings us back to rethinking the serpent itself. So to summarize the source's view, it's not some demon we need to cast out. It's a test. It's a mirror showing us our own unprocessed stuff, our desires, our pride.
And ultimately, a divine instrument for transformation. It's actually a teacher.
A teacher, that's a challenging idea for something often seen as purely negative.
It is. And another key takeaway here is the serpent, this testing force, will never completely disappear. Temptations, doubts, those whispers, they'll always be around in some form.
So the goal isn't to become totally immune, to never fail.
No, the path forward isn't about achieving perfection. It's about ensuring that the voice of love within you becomes consistently stronger than the serpent's voice. That's the ongoing work.
And true freedom, then. It's not about avoiding the test, but about reaching a point where that desire for unity, for connection with the divine, just completely overshadows all those other desires. And the old self, the one who habitually listened to the serpent, that part sort of fades away.
That's the transformation. And it happens in tiny moments every single day. Think about how you react when someone cuts you off in traffic or criticizes your work, or when you feel that pang of envy or a surge of pride. Each time, there's a choice point. Do you react automatically from that old pattern, that ingrained response? If so, the snake kind of wins that round. Or Do you manage to pause, even for a second? Take a breath. Connect internally to love, to the bigger picture, to God. That's the alternative path.
It really makes you reconsider that original prohibition in the garden, doesn't it? Eating from the tree of knowledge. Maybe it wasn't about God wanting to keep people ignorant.
The source suggests it was more like a protection, a crucial guideline.
The guideline being, don't let your mind, your intellect, your desire for knowledge or control overtake love. Keep love primary.
Precisely. The serpent wins, not necessarily by making us commit huge evil acts, but simply by convincing us, even temporarily, that we can get what we truly want, happiness, fulfillment, without love being the absolute foundation.
That shift in priority is the win for the serpent.
Yes, and that leads to the really profound conclusion from the source. It says the real victory in this whole process in life isn't about never messing up again. It says in coming back every time, rising up after you fall, with humility, with faith renewed.
Ah, so it's the getting back up that counts.
That's where the true strength lies. It defines it as the strength of a soul that knows its worth is not in its success, but in its ability to love in spite of everything,
Yeah.
even its own failures.
Wow, that is quite a powerful reframe of strength. And of that whole ancient story, it really does make it feel less like some dusty old text and more like, well, like the source says, a book of the present. And maybe even more pointedly, a book about myself. An archetype playing out constantly in every choice, every reaction, every struggle you face. So maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this. We know the serpent, that voice of doubt or skewed priorities, it's always going to be whispering somehow. So how do you make sure, in the middle of a tough decision or when you're feeling challenged, that the voice you ultimately listen to, the one you trust, is the one that says, give love first, trust the process, rather than the one saying, take it now, you deserve it, worry about the costs later.
Because that first voice, the voice of love,
Right. As our source concludes, only that voice leads back to a life that never ends.